Hey, welcome to worshiptutorials.com. My name is Brian. Today I want to do a review of the Line 6 G10 wireless guitar unit. This is the bass in my hand, and this is the transmitter right here. This is the whole thing, and there's a power source for it as well. I'm at my church today, so we just got finished with services, and so I used this thing today during the service, and I've used this a lot. There's really a few things that I really like about it, so let's go over the positives. One, the price. It's $180, which for a wireless guitar unit, that is ridiculously cheap. Two, I really like how low profile it is. So this is the end that goes into your guitar, right? So for this guitar, that's it. And this fits inside of a standard Strat output jack as well, because I use a Strat with it some too. Another thing I really like about it is it sounds great. There is a tiny bit of high-end loss that you get, but it's not hard to compensate for that with EQ. I don't really think anyone's gonna notice it. You may not even notice it. So another thing I really love about this is that it's not gonna interfere with like all the bandwidth stuff that the FCC is removing. So if you use wireless units already, wherever, you know, in your environment, live environment, the FCC keeps taking away bandwidth, and so the lighting is changing. So here we go, I look a little different now. This works in the 2.4 gigahertz bandwidth, so that's going to be more like your wireless routers for Wi-Fi, like old school cordless phones and that kind of thing. So one thing with this, you do need to be conscious, like if you have a Wi-Fi router right next to it, you might get some interference, but I'm using it here, and we have a ton of wireless stuff going on here. Wireless guitar units, wireless microphones, wireless instrument stuff going on all at the same time. Wireless stuff going on elsewhere in other rooms of this building. This thing just worked seamlessly with it today without any issue. You don't have to punch any numbers in, you just plug it in and it works. This is the charging base. The battery is built into here. You get about 8 hours of battery life on a full charge. And to charge it, you just plug this in, plug that in, and it charges. And so it's really easy, like it's all, you know, fits together really well. It's really well designed. A couple things I don't like about it. One is this is the power. So it uses a micro USB cable for power, and you get that with the unit. But it just, you know, even like one of those like round end plugs feels a little more secure. But honestly, you're gonna put the base of this thing probably somewhere away. And so, you know, as long as it works, it's going to be fine. Hey, I just wanted to quickly interrupt myself to let you know that Line 6 has recently updated the G10 wireless system. I don't think it's a replacement for the G10, but they have released an update called the G10s. And it looks about the same. The form factor of the transmitter looks exactly the same. But the base that you plug it into, or the receiver, is a little different. So they've addressed some of those issues. One of the ones that I talked about with the power cable, the power supply. Now you can run it off, you know, if you've got a power supply on your pedal board, it's got the 9-volt plug. You can actually just put it on the end of your pedal board or put it on your board and just power it from there. But you do have the USB option as well, which is handy. It's got increased range. Line 6 says it's got 150-foot range now, which is 3 times more than the 50-foot range from the G10. And they put in some tech that they have in some of their higher-end wireless systems, like the cable length modeling kind of thing. You know, you can simulate different cable lengths. It's a little more expensive. It's about $250, so about $70 more if you buy it new than the G10. One thing Line 6 does that I really like about them is they listen to their customers, and they release products and they release updates based on feedback from their customers. It's a really cool time to be a guitar player. Companies like Line 6 putting out great stuff like this all the time. Okay, back to the review. One thing about this that I think is just good job, Line 6, I'll say that, is I have tried to use wireless with my guitar at this campus for a long time. This is what we typically use. Now this is my in-ear pack. Sennheiser G300 series stuff. These are expensive. You're looking at like a couple $1,000s per unit, or at least $1,000 per unit. And you can get the guitar attachment, you know, so it's an instrument wireless setup. This has never worked for me here, and it's a lot more complicated to set up. You gotta actually like line up frequencies and everything, which is what you do with most higher end wireless units. But the guitar instrument versions of these that we have here has never worked for me. and I don't know why. Maybe it's just me. I don't know. They don't like me. But this thing works perfectly every time. They claim you get 50 feet of, you know, you can walk 50 feet away from the bass with the transmitter with it. And I haven't tested that, but I have at a different campus. I've used this thing pretty consistently, and I was way out of the building or way out of the sanctuary with it, and I could still, like, I was walking around the building and I could still hear it, and it was probably a good 50 feet. I would say that was pretty accurate before it kind of cut out. One other note about these things that I've heard a lot of people talk about, I haven't personally found this to be an issue, but if your guitar, if you don't push signal through it for 3 minutes, it will turn off basically to save power. And so all you have to do to get it to turn back on is just push signal to it. So just turn your volume up on your guitar and strum the strings, and you'll get power back to it. So if you're on stage and your pastor's talking for a long time, and maybe there's, you know, 5 minutes have passed, which is a long time, it feels like an eternity on stage, and you haven't played and you're wanting to like come in with something, the only thing you got to think about is just to make sure the light is on. If the light is off, just send some signal through it, maybe turn your volume pedal off and push some signal into the transmitter, and it'll come back on. It comes back on really fast. But that's one thing to note with these things, and they do that so it saves power, so it lasts longer. So all around, just a really solid unit. I really recommend this thing, especially if you're on a budget. Like I said, this thing I think is $180 brand new for a wireless guitar unit. That's pretty awesome. So Line 6, great job. Thank you for watching. See you in the next video.